Hello again, and blessings to you. Let's continue on our study of Genesis. Bereshith 1:20. And Elohim said, Let the waters teem with shoals of living creatures, and let the birds fly above the earth on the face of the expanse of heaven. Genesis 1:21. And Elohim created great sea creatures, and every living creature that moves, with which the waters teemed, according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. Take note of the came to be so. Bereshith 1:22. And Elohim blessed them, saying, Bear fruit and increase, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth. Pay close attention to the He blessed them. Genesis 1:23. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the fifth day. Here we have Elohim saying what to do and how to do it. The grand architect. Remember in the previous chapters showing you Elohim telling the heavenly host what to do and how to do it, and Elohim saw that it was good? We still have the same thing happening now in these verses, but there's something different when it comes to the living creatures, and see if you can pick up on it. Bereshith 1:24. And Elohim said, Let the earth bring forth the living creature according to its kind, livestock and creeping creatures, and beasts of the earth according to its kind. And it came to be so. Remember verse 120, Let the waters bring forth a living sea creature. And now we have, Let the earth bring forth living creatures. Is Elohim commanding these things to rise up out of the waters or earth? Or is it Elohim telling the heavenly host how and what to do? Genesis 1:25. And Elohim made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and Elohim saw that it was good. Bereshith 1:26. And Elohim said, Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the seas, and over the birds of the heaven, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over all the creeping creatures that creep on the earth. Let us make man. See, like any architect, this is giving directions in what to do and how to do it. Genesis 1:27. And Elohim created the man in his image. In the image of Elohim he created him. Male and female, he created them. Keep track of the made and created, as made is not as prominent in these verses as it was in the creation of the plant life. Same as it came to be so. Remember the blessing Elohim gave this part of creation? Genesis 1:28. And Elohim blessed them, bear fruit and increase, and fill the earth and subdue it. Elohim blessed this creation, not just saw that it was good. This is the reason the word created is chosen over made, because the heavenly host can only do so much. This blessing is the breath of life. All living creatures have it, and it only comes from the one true Creator, as it is His breath we each live by. Without Him giving a little piece of Himself, energy, nothing would be alive. It is this breath we are tested for. This test is to see if you get to keep this energy or if he's going to take it back from you. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? After we have Elohim blessing them, he says, bear fruit and increase, and fill the earth and subdue it, and to rule over the fish in the sea, and over the birds of the heaven, and over all creatures moving on the earth. Notice, this is not Adam and Eve, but this is all the races of the earth, both male and female. Yes, there's still a divide between having XY and XX chromosomes, but all were created in his image. That's because it's his energy that causes us to live. It's like an unseen string that's attached from him to you. Being a physical creation with spiritual strings, all he has to do is take back his energy and you die. Not just physically, but spiritually. That's what Judgment Day is going to be about for those who've never submitted. The spiritual vessel that contains this energy will be thrown into the lake of fire, and through the purification of fire, Elohim will take back his breath of life, but the vessel it was in will be burned up. Out of all these people, none are Adam and Eve. But as we read, all these wild people or cave dwellers are fishermen and hunters. None are working a garden. None have been chosen as the line that will bring about the Messiah. These are simple people, hunting and fishing, having domination over all the earth. The earth is wild at this moment, and man is to subdue it. This is a reflection of yourself, metaphorically living in the wilderness of transgression. It is up to you to subdue it, control it, not allow it to make you the image of something other than your Creator. Now, before moving on into the next verses, you need to understand what's being laid out before us is the food chain, with man being on top. Bereshith 1:29. And Elohim said, and see, I have given you every plant that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it is for food. Bereshith 1:30. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the heaven, and to every creeping creature on the earth, in which there is the breath of life, every green plant is for food. And it came to be so. See, it is the plant-eating creatures that are food. From all the creatures Elohim gave us, from the top all the way down, starting out with the plant-eating creatures all the way to the beast of the field. The Torah goes into detail about this divide in how they chew the plant material. So all this, you must be vegan or animals were never meant to be eaten, is false. They are, however, there is clean and unclean animals. Unclean animals are not meant to be and are never described as food. If you notice, this started out with the plant eating is food for us, meaning scavengers were never food for us. This is not a free pass to just murder animals. They aren't food until slaughtered. So in the way they're cared for is very important, as in the way they are harvested. So we can turn what was clean to us unclean. That's why the feast days are so important. Big meals and food, meat, is a luxury and a special act in the eyes of Yah, respecting every single creature with the breath of life. Genesis 1:31. And Elohim saw all that he had made, and see, it was very good. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the sixth day. Remember, friends, every day of this creation period is 1,000 years. So here we are at 6,000 years, and mankind has already had 1,000 years of population. And by Adam's time, it'll be 2,000 years. This is how Cain found a wife in the land of Nod. There were already people there. So, if you're thinking Adam and Eve's children were sexting each other, that's just disgusting, and in no way is a righteous foundation for mankind. Bereshith 2:1. Thus the heaven and the earth were completed in all their array. Pay attention. Genesis 2:2. And on the seventh day Elohim completed his work which he had done. And he rested on the seventh day from all the work which he had made. Genesis 2:3. And Elohim blessed the seventh day and made it holy, cause on it he rested from all his work which Elohim creating had made. Understand the word made is Elohim speaking just as he spoken to the heavenly host in making what he designed. But again, there is only one true creator which created all things, including the heavenly host. Bereshith 2:4. These are the births of the heaven and the earth when they were created in the day Yahweh Elohim made earth and heaven. Look close here. I have pointed this out before, but just in case you missed it, you can see the earth was created already before this earth age. That's why it starts out created, but in this earth age it was made. That's because it had already been created. Now it was made into a new earth age. We see this again when we get to Adam and Eve. This is also another stumbling point for those folks looking for the feast days and Sabbath days. All the moon worship makes where nothing lines up. You can't follow the moon, and these days complement each other. That's because the feast days are from Genesis 1:3 and Genesis 1:14, while the Sabbath follows the actual physical days when it was given to man here in Genesis 2:3. From the time Yahweh appointed this day, it has always been honored and kept one way or another since the beginning of time as we know it. Now the confusion on starting the Sabbath in the evening and folks thinking that's the start of the day is completely wrong, as this study has pointed out. I also start my Sabbath at sundown, but I do it for the same reason they've always done it, because the workday is ended in the evening. So the workday is over, why not start your Sabbath? But according to Scripture, we live solar days, so work can continue until daybreak. It's at the day we must lay down our labor. This is when man was given 6 work days and 1 day of rest in keeping time. This also marks when man started keeping time. The creation period was 6,000 years, and Elohim taking a 1,000-year rest, Sabbath. That's 7,000 years. Now man is given a command to make the 7th day set apart, and man can account for about 6,000 years of recorded history. That's what's actually on the books. making this earth age 13,000 plus years old. And if we are using logic, we can see the next Sabbath 1,000 years is upon us. We are given these clues in the parable of the fig tree, which I have shared, but the fig tree generation only has 50 more years left. Either every scholar in history, including those that stood around while Yeshua told you to learn the parable, are wrong. There can only be 50 more years left. Now, I am not date setting. It is only a false prophet that would set a date. We do not know the day, but we do know the season because of the parable. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your master doeth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore, be ye also ready, for in such an hour as you think not the Son of Man cometh. When then is a faithful and wise servant, who his master hath made ruler over his house, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant, who his master, when he cometh, shall find him doing. I hope you enjoyed this study. Shalom.